2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swing and a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Welcome up, Chris Taylor.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Scott Geirman. Not as quite the vibes we had last night, Scott, as the Dodgers get absolutely walloped 10-2 in game number 2 of the National League Divisional Series, tying this series up with San Diego. Scott, lots of places we could go. Let me just start here.
Yep.
Is this, are the vibes right now, oh my gosh, we're screwed? Are the vibes right now, it's only one game, who cares? Or are we somewhere in between?
I would say that with the way the offense performed tonight against Yu Darvish, I think a lot of people, myself included, have a lot of issues, and we're seeing the same stuff from some of the same people, Mookie Betts, some people that, where they only had how many opportunities with runners in scoring position tonight. When you don't get these opportunities, they only had, one of them. It felt when they had a little bit brewing there with the bases loaded, nobody out, they get one run in, double play immediately ends that, and then you blink, and then you're down 10-1. So it's hard after a game like yesterday. When I said this, that was one of the grittiest, guttiest performances I've seen from this team, probably since Corey Seager left. Long time. That was a hell of a game. And then you return tonight. Jack Flaherty does what we said, what we were both okay with. Blake and I were okay with. He gives them enough. We're through 5. He allows 3. I felt okay. I was like, fine, but the offense did absolutely nothing. That's unacceptable. Can't happen. So I would say with all that taken into account, you're going into San Diego with them having a full head of steam there, ton of momentum. People saying in the chat, not good.
So to reiterate, are we panicking? Are we highly concerned, or are we, hey, we win one, we lose one?
I'm concerned. It's a concerning loss. It's a concerning thing with how many, I would say, the momentum shifting moments there. Manny Machado gathers everybody in the dugout there. Padres immediately go out and get hit 2 pumps that inning. Xander Bogaerts looks like he hurts himself on a swing, goes out, hits a homer that same at bat. A lot of moments like that swung completely Padres. Their defense showed up for them. Profar robs a homer in the first, right there, but right out the jump, and then they never recovered. Never recovered. He had that. Yu Darvish had that moment where you got him on the ropes. Stuff we talked about, you couldn't allow them to happen. You can't allow him to be on the ropes and not finish the job. Take it, make it go to the bullpen. Get Schilt to go to the bullpen. They never could get the job done. They only had so many opportunities. They had like one, two. That's it. I am very concerned after a game like tonight.
Yeah. Super chats here, 300. Dodgers got their asses whooped. Bad starting pitching again. Tatis staring and facing King on Wednesday. Ugh. This sounds like somebody, Scott, that's in the same boat as you. You mentioned, so Flaherty finishes with 4 earned runs. I know he left with 3. Bonda ended up giving up 1 single and then getting a pair of outs. So he ends up with 4 earned runs. 300 says bad starting pitching again. We had all talked 5 innings, 3 earned. It ends up 5 1/3, 4 earned. It felt like not all 5 inning, 3 earned performances, 4 earned performances are the same. It feels like giving up that home run to Tatis and then 2 more runs in the second. It's like, it feels different than if he had carried a shutout into the 5th inning and then gives up 3 or 4 runs then. So give me a little bit more of a breakdown on what you saw from Flaherty, and kind of, was this like a solid B performance compared to the expectations for you? Better, worse? Where were you at?
I would say, the point I made yesterday about with Yamamoto, I know they won the game, but it was about having a 0. Don't, go in there and give the offense a shot to say we're not having to play from behind every single time. I saw somebody bring it up right away. Flaherty looked like he did fine. He did fine. If you have the offense doing anything, you can pitch differently. But when you have to be perfect, and Flaherty came out right after that and threw 3 scoreless innings from the 3rd to the 5th, goes straight through there. And in that time, you have to think the Dodgers got to claw something. You can't just go you get 1 back in the second, then it's 3-1. And then from there, you do absolutely 0. So I would say the offense let him down. Flaherty kept him in the game enough to see if there was a heartbeat there. But Yu Darvish had the Dodgers in an absolute chokehold. He didn't get, so many swing and misses, but he was just getting such bad swings. Dodgers only struck out 5 times tonight, but it looked like they were never on, they weren't on balanced at all. I think Yu Darvish had 7 different pitch types. So he was working everything. You just saw a lot of bad swings on pitches that weren't, in particular spots. But I would say the offense let him down more than Flaherty let the team down. That's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I'm with you. This loss does not on Jack Flaherty's shoulders. I'm not going to say he pitched well. 4 earned runs, 5 and a third, for a guy that's probably going to want a bunch of money. And that I said at one point, like, hey, give him the $100 million that he's going to be asking for because you need it. Like the way that his season has faltered off has been disappointing, discouraging, especially after last night. To your point, hey, can you at least get me through 2 scoreless? Like if it's 2 scoreless and he gives up 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth, and 2 in the sixth, it's a totally different vibe from me. The fact that they're down 3-0 by the time they even come up to bat a second time. Again, this isn't on Flaherty. I've said all along, the offense needs to score 5 runs in order to be competitive in these games, and the offense didn't do it. I think the offense is what's going to win or lose games for the Dodgers, and so the pressure is on them. The best players have the most pressure. I think that the best player, if you want to break the team down, is the offense, and the offense failed. And a big reason is this next guy. N9, it's time to talk about moving on from Mookie. You mentioned it. I laugh because A, I'm a Mookie defender. B, I mean, we were a fan doing their job down the left field line away, Scott, from this narrative being a little bit different. So give me your reaction to Mookie hits that ball into left field. Can we talk? How does Profar catch a ball 3 rows deep of Dodger fans in the corner in the NLDS? Somebody's got to set a screen. Somebody's got to get hands up. What are we doing here, Scott?
Yeah. So we right away immediately in our chat that we have all guys that we said that we hope that's doesn't matter in the game. Well, it didn't matter because the Dodgers lost. They got blown out. But that fan should not be allowed to enter.
All those fans, there's like 8 of them right there. Somebody's got to do something.
Like, it was first. It was definitely. It wasn't as back. Like it wasn't 3 rows deep, but it was to the point where front row seat fan. There is no rule. Like if you're worried about having an interference thing, there's no rule to that. Once the ball goes into the stands, you have every right to get your hand up, smack the ball away. I just was in disbelief. Like this is playoff baseball, and then fans later in the game start throwing stuff, get mad. There's nothing should be going against that fan, but that fan shouldn't be allowed to sit front row at a Dodger game ever again. I don't know how it happened. I don't know how he didn't fool me because I looked up and I was like, I think he caught that ball.
Yeah.
And then he put the 1 up and I was like, and then it actually didn't go out. Crazy stuff, man.
So how different is the narrative if that's a home run around Mookie Betts? Do you think we're having the same conversation right now if it's 1 for 22 instead of 0 for 22, but it's a home run tonight, a pair of walks last night? Like this is where inches make a massive difference because I know we're going to go quote numbers that date back to 2022. I just feel like if that ball goes out and he has 2 walks last night, that we're Mookie is not topic A on post-game content for the Dodgers tonight. And yet it didn't go out, to be fair, right? If something would have happened, well, it didn't. So what do you make of like how different this narrative might have been if that one play goes slightly different?
I mean, he's still, as a whole, his performance the last several postseasons has been terrible. Like he's been, Mookie Betts, I'll give him flowers during the regular season. But when the calendar turns October, like Jeff, like I respect Mookie Betts as a player. He's terrific during the regular season, but there's just something that goes on in the postseason where he hasn't shown up. And it's to a point where the conversation during the year was that the sample, sure, we could say the sample is small. We can say that, yes, it's only so many at bats, 10, 14 or 11 and 14 at bats going back to 2023 with 11, 2022 with 14 at bats. But he hasn't done anything. Absolutely anything. Like he has done that 1 home run. It would have been a home run, I think 16 ballpark, something like that. So as far as their narrative today, it would have been like, there is a heartbeat. There's something there. And then maybe something changes. Then that positivity bleeds into the next thing and then so on. And maybe there's a different conversation. But looking at the end of the game, Ohtani's goes over today, right? Yeah. They had a great game plan against him. Yu Darvish made him reach out. They weren't busting him inside. Mookie Betts did not answer the bell. Freddie Freeman exits the game, and we're still staring at Mookie Betts with a big donut in the box score at the biggest time of the season when you just absolutely can't have this. You just cannot do it, man.
Yeah. How does it, I mean, if you had to guess, how does this happen? Like I go back and look at Mookie's stats. It's not like he's a guy who has his entire career, he's been terrible in the postseason. Like if you go back basically up through the 2021 season, this wasn't just a guy who was fine. This was a guy who was incredible in the postseason. Like he was one of the best hitters in that 2020 run. He had a great performance in 2021, a great performance back in 2017 in Boston. Like this is a guy who has a history prior to the last 3 years of being good. So I'm not making excuses for the last 3 years have been bad. Like, I'm not up here defending what we've seen over the last. I'm just trying to figure out myself, how does a guy who's so good in the regular season and who has proven he can do it in the postseason all of a sudden become bad over a, what is the equivalent of a week-long stretch of baseball?
You got me. And I think he feels the same way. He prepares the same thing. Like, he has the same exact preparation. Like, we can talk about everything. And up until 2022, when that postseason began, he's done absolutely zero. He has not been the franchise type of guy. At least when Manny Machado's over there, when he get in the postseason, overall stats might not be incredible, but at least he's doing some damage there. He's a presence in the box. Fernando Tatis is an absolute presence in the box. Like, he's still early prime of his career. So it's when you look and see at superstars on the other side who don't have these type of things. And I'll be honest, Jeff, a lot of people, when they see Mookie Betts and they look at that timeline for the Dodgers, they just think of, where's Corey Seager at? Like, where they're so used to these remarkable postseason performers, and then Freddie Freeman enters, offense drops off with him in the postseason. Mookie Betts is here. Following 2021, nothing has happened. So it's just all the collection. And I know fans in like chat, you guys are with me on this. It's seeing this multiple times. It's the same thing with the Dodgers can win in the regular season. We know they can do it, but Mookie Betts, when they do collapse in the the Dodgers have collapsed in the postseason, Mookie Betts has been a big offender of going over or not having a big impact. He's got a couple games to change it, but right now he hasn't done a thing to turn that tide.
Yeah, and I think we have to be careful because he was great in 2020 when they won the World Series offensively and defensively. And that was 4 years ago, but this is where narratives get born. You mentioned Manny Machado. Machado's weighted runs created plus is the exact same as Mookie Betts for his career in the postseason. So it just that's the irony of the way that these narratives can get built.
I know that, but I think that we have to start looking at some things in more recent samples. Like, I really do, Jeff. Like, I really do with Mookie Betts. Like, it's a drop off. It's not like it's a roller coaster thing where he's good and then bad. He's just been bad since 2022.
But it's 22. It's also, we're talking about 22 at bats. That's a 5-game stretch in the regular season.
That's fine, but at a certain point, not everybody can get let off the hook. I know you know what I'm saying, and that's just how it is. Something about him, he's dropped off in the postseason. It's just what it is.
I'm not arguing he hasn't. I just think there's so many ways we can look at it. And I'm trying to put in perspective 22 at bats and how small of a sample size that is, as well as I just think there's a little bit, and it's not coming from you. There's Mookie sucks. He's always been this. Like, put some respect on the guy's name who was, maybe 1B behind Corey Seager as to why they won the World Series in 2020. Bellinger belongs in that conversation for the home run he hit. But I mean, Bellinger was kind of a mess that entire postseason. Mookie Betts was great offensively, defensively. So anyways, let's move on from the Mookie conversation. We got some more super chat here. Grayson says, I'm concerned because our two best pitchers just got rocked going into San Diego with Buehler and Knack. We are so cooked. What are your thoughts, Scott?
They're going to have a lot of they're navigating a Padres lineup that is aggressive. They will punish mistakes. You got to see it up and down their lineup here, all the way from Fernando Tatis at the top of the order, Jackson Merrill doing historic things as a rookie, all the way down to Kyle Higashioka, David Peralta doing damage on hangers. It's a tough lineup to navigate because whether they're, there was some chatter about Yamamoto tipping pitches. Nothing has come of that. They probably won't confirm anything with it. We'll just have to see results wise. But it's a smart baseball team on the other end. It's the same reason why I look at this series like this is a World Series matchup in the National League Division Series, right? So with Walker Buehler, for everything we have to talk about him being perfect, he's got to be perfect. He has to keep them in a game, but it comes back to the offense having to have a beat, having to have a pulse. Same thing with Landon Knack. He pumps the zone, but he gives up the homer. This is an offense in the Padres. You can't be okay with that. They've set a record tonight. Well, they tied a record. Was it? No, they broke the record. What was it? How many home runs tonight? 6, 7? 6. So they tied a record. It's an offense where you have to be careful saying, okay, if they give up solos, it's just fine because they'll do it in bunches. So that's the main thing of my concern the rest of the way because of the way the offense just completely vanished tonight. I need to see, are we okay with five innings, 3 runs for an offense that has struggled tonight? Darvish carved, right? Yeah. He goes ahead and does that. It's just, you're going to need to see them have to find a rhythm and have to have a game plan going in because you cannot be okay just saying, yep, it's a solo home run to these Padres hitters because they can do it up and down.
Yeah. And look, the Dodgers did it a night ago like that. It's not like we're sitting here in game 2 and it's 2 straight games of them falling apart. The same offense scored
Pitching.
7 runs against what many people would say is a much better pitcher in Dylan Cease yesterday than against Yu Darvish, but it's not how it played out. One thing I'd say to Grayson, and I'm curious if you agree. Yes, it was our 2 best pitchers. I don't know if there's that big of a gap between the 2 guys that we've already seen pitch and the 2 guys who are coming. And I'm not trying to play hindsight here. Like, I predicted that Yamamoto would be good. But if you look at what Yamamoto had done over the last couple of weeks, what Flaherty had done over the last couple of weeks, and compare it to Buehler and Knack, those 2 guys were our best for sure. But it's not like there's this massive gulf between, oh man, the only 2 guys that had any hope, they're gone, and now it's these 2. I don't think any of these 4 are like number 1s, maybe not even number 2s, but I don't think it's this massive drop off to Buehler and Knack. Do you agree with that?
Repeat. So sorry. I had something pulled up here on my computer. The gap between Buehler and Knack.
How big of a gap do you think there is between Yamamoto and Flaherty versus Buehler and Knack? Because I would argue there is a gap, but it's not a big one.
From what we've seen with Yamamoto, I mean, the expectation gap is insane. It's massive.
I'm not talking. I'm just saying what we've seen, because Yamamoto had not been awesome in the 2 starts right before the postseason.
It's asking a lot of Yamamoto. Like, if we peel it back and say it's asking a lot of Yamamoto in his 5th start back from his injury, just immediately start a game. Well, his first postseason series, that is a lot to put on him. His performance didn't live up to it. The same thing with Flaherty. He gave enough. If we started off, we just keep that right at the head of our, top of our minds and saying Flaherty did enough to give the offense a chance. The gap between what they both did, I would say Jack Flaherty got away with a lot tonight. The Padres offense could have put up a lot more against Flaherty with some of the hangers he had. Some of the backed up stuff he threw to Manny Machado could have been in the left field pavilions for sure. So I would say he got away with a lot. It could have been a lot worse. And between them, I mean, Walker Buehler, Landon Knack, talking about those 2 on the road in San Diego, you're going to need to be better than they were. You have to be. You have they're going to have to elevate their game, because the caliber of pitcher that Yamamoto and Jack Flaherty are is above what Walker Buehler and Landon Knack currently are.
Do you think they can do it? You said they need to elevate their game. Do you have any confidence that Walker Buehler and or Landon Knack, because let's be honest, you just need one of the 2 of them basically, but do you have any confidence that one of these 2 guys is going to be able to rise to the occasion?
It's going to take a hell of a game plan, man. It's going to take a hell of a game plan to navigate and Dave Roberts having to pull the right cord when it comes to getting them out of the game in a big spot in the latter innings. I don't have faith that they're going to be able to stop runs early, because what we've seen, they just haven't done it. Yamamoto, like, settling in after a few innings and then being able to get into a little bit of a rhythm. I expect the Padres to put up a few runs right away, no matter what, just because they've done that consistently so far. And it's an offense that's very aggressive right away. They don't want to let you settle in, and the Dodgers have a tough time doing that thing. So I think the Padres are going to get out of the gates early. It's just a matter of being able to, answer that right back. You're going to have to be able to do it. And with Martin Perez coming in for the Padres, that's when we can have a different conversation of, okay, this is 1-1. You're not in the worst place possible, but a loss like tonight doesn't put much confidence. But that's when we can talk about the next upcoming matchups and that the series isn't over with. This was a gut punch.
Yeah. So, and I mean, let me ask a question, because it's one that I've seen a bunch. After what you've seen in 2 nights, should the Dodgers have an opener in Game 3?
It's a great question. That's a terrific question, because someone who gets
your answer is, Scott.
No, I'm going to get to it. It's a great question, because getting through that heart of the lineup right at the top, it's something that you have a couple relievers here, and somebody just asked that. Yeah, Ivan just asked that, and it's a terrific thing. I would experiment with it. Give you somebody that can go up, get that top slab of the lineup off, get those top 3 hitters, maybe 4 hitters if someone gets on base. I think that's something that's an actual conversation they will be having here for sure. So should they? I believe they should. Yes.
And would you go like, it's got to be a lefty, right? So it's either Bonda or Vesia, because you get Arias the lefty. Tatis has been worse against lefties than he has been against righties, and then you get Profar as well.
I think you got to go Bonda. If you go Vesia, then I don't know if you'll be comfortable later game with Bonda. I mean, you might. It just depends. And
that's the hard part, right? Because you could make a case after what we've seen that the first inning is the most important inning of the entire game, and so maybe you do.
No, it's a great question.
Burn your best lefty there.
I love that. I love that view, because if you believe that, like what I believe, that the Padres can jump out early, no matter what, I think they do. They got a terrific offense. You're going to need to shave off that top bit, right? I think that's a terrific conversation to be having, and one I think the Dodgers are having internally right now. I think they will once they start game planning for Game 3, which they have done, yesterday. They've already started to look ahead. I think something that's going to be something that could be at the top of their minds. Great point.
Risen Indeed says, let's not say this is just Game 2. It's a repeat of 2022. I'm sorry, Risen Indeed. I'm going to say it. It's just Game 2. It's 1-1. They won last night. All this talk of momentum didn't even last into the first inning today after a huge Dodgers win at Dodger Stadium. So all the things that we're now talking ourselves into doom and gloom for the Dodgers in Game 3. Oh, the Padres have all the momentum. We're headed to San Diego. None of that mattered tonight for the Padres negatively. And so I think that's the optimistic view of Game 3 is if the Padres could go into Dodger Stadium one night after losing a heartbreaker and crush the Dodgers, what's to say the Dodgers couldn't do the same in Game 3?
Yeah, I mean, what he said about 2022, sure. It started out Dodgers got a win there, and the Padres answered straight back. Then you head over to San Diego. It's the same thing that happened in terms of the sequence of games and how, the win-loss went. I mean, how could Jeff, how we repeated 2022? They haven't played the games yet. October, anything happens, stuff changes day to day. You hear consistently about these Hall of Famers going in. Derek Jeter said it great on the early, the pregame beforehand. Doesn't matter what you did the day before. It matters what you're doing that day. Everything could change. It's just momentum wise when we see it, that's something that fans take away. It's hard to get it out of your mind. Players wise, you have to turn in the page and go from there. The optimistic wise, yes, it's just Game 2. Going ahead and looking at game planning and everything, you're looking at even series. It's brand new. You had a chance to take a 2-0 lead, didn't work out. You got beat down, but at a certain point, what did it matter? The offense did absolutely nothing. So those extra runs mean zero. The larger the thing it was, weren't they going to come back? There's always a possibility. But once it gets past 5 runs later in, the ninth inning, we're just tossing out the win. I don't care about the late homers.
Yeah, Grove and Enriquez are not going to be seeing any meaningful innings at any point this series. So the fact that those guys got shelled was a big matter for me as well.
Yeah, doesn't matter. So it's Game 2. Yes, today was just Game 2. We can't speak on if it's a repeat series for it. It just feels like, are we doing it again? Guys, are we seeing this again? I thought that in the middle of Game 1 or right at the beginning of Game 1 when they allowed runs right away. I tweeted out, I was like, are we doing this again? So just have to play the games. You got to see it. But again, you got to weather the early storm. So I love that idea about the opener. I'm getting the gears turning in my mind, kind of working that out.
Ozzy says, if we lose this series, Mookie needs to get traded. Dave Roberts on Mookie Betts' playoff struggles. This from Blake Williams. Quote, for me, I hope he continues to stay within himself and not try to do too much. I'm not worried about it. I hope Mookie's not. So is there anything to read between the lines here? I hope he continues to stay within himself. Like, do you read that as he hasn't been staying within himself and Dave wants him to pull it back? Or I think he's been staying within himself, and even though the results haven't come, I hope he sticks with it.
I mean, he's saying all the things about, that a manager is going to say about Mookie Betts, a big leaguer who, a 2-time World Series champion, someone who's a pillar franchise guy. He's not going to toss him to the wolves, but staying within himself is just him saying, I will hope he continues to do the same work. I hope he doesn't continue to press, be more than he believes he has to be. But right now, Jeff, with Freddie Freeman reeling and not knowing how much you're going to get from him, hopefully this, the back end of the game and then the day off gives him some more time for that ankle to feel, better. When Ohtani doesn't do it, this is the concern that we had during the regular season. When Ohtani's not carrying the load, who else is going to be there? And it has to be Mookie Betts. It just you have to have someone else to drive the truck, buddy. It just
here's the real question, Scott. If Christopher wants to know Freddie's availability for Game 3, we haven't seen anything. We'll let you know. If Freddie can't go, I think the answer is right in front of us, right? Gavin Lux back in the 3-hole, 2 for 4 tonight. Most hits on the team in the NLDS.
It's crazy too. Oh my goodness. That's a conversation where it's who you shifting up, who you going down. But with Martin Perez coming onto the mound, it's a different conversation. Pandemic saying I'm talking too much. Jeff, I mean, he wants you to take the reins.
That'd be a first.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let him roll with that, but I'm most of the time a voice for the people and a lot of what people want to talk about on here. So as far as Freddie Freeman, you saw the swap tonight. Muncie's going to first, Kike Hernandez going to third base. But even with Freddie Freeman out, I like their odds against a left-handed pitcher. I like that a lot. I think the optionality there changes a whole bunch. But who saw Gavin Lux being the hits leader here?
Yeah. Not me. Not me. The bottom 3 in the order, 5 hits tonight. And Gavin Lux had a sac fly as well, which was a productive out and a good at bat from him to score a run when the Dodgers loaded the bases and then couldn't get any more after that. What did you make of that, by the way? So Gavin Lux, sac fly. I was texting a couple buddies. Was that bad luck or a bad play by Will Smith? The line out that gets him doubled off. It felt to me, I'm biased. Everybody's going to say I'm biased, I should say, for Will Smith. Regardless of who that was, that feels like bad luck to me, because when you take
Tommy,
your lead
Tommy
and
Edman, and then you're getting doubled up there, it's a hard play. It's a hard play. He read the trajectory of it wrong. He tried to make, he probably had in his mind, this gets to the thing. I've got to be scoring there. I would say a little bit of bad luck in the moment. Did you feel like it was, damn, he's got to be close to the bag there? He got a huge secondary lead. And by that thing, Arise is already on that charging in. So by the time he realized Arise is catching that, he's already, flat foot right there, big secondary lead off of there because he's trying to score a run there. I would say more bad luck than anything, honestly. It's a tough play with the ball hit behind you,
wasn't it? Am I crazy on this?
Yep, you're correct. It's just a hard play when the ball's hit right behind you there. I would say it's more bad luck than anything, but an absolute laser. Yeah.
That was my reaction as well. Like, what are you supposed to do? Take a lead, you take your secondary lead, line drive at the guy right at you. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was hit like a little bit under 90. It's so not like a missile, but it hit behind you. So it is I would say more of a bad luck play.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you. 300. Last point, the drunken fans did nothing but galvanize the Padres. Nice job, drunks. Ugly scenes from the Dodgers out there in left field, throwing stuff at Profar, throwing stuff at Tatis. Look, you could be pissed. Those guys talk crap. Nobody likes Profar. Nobody likes Tatis, et cetera, et cetera. Come on, Dodger fans. We could be better than that, throwing stuff at these guys, right?
I saw a little bit too much. Like that was more than I would have liked to see at all. Like if Profar and
one thing is too much. Throwing one thing onto the field is too much.
Never. You can't be throwing things on the field. That's just an unacceptable type of thing. If you want to chirp players, absolutely do it. Do it with the best of them. Like I encourage fans to be chirping Fernando Tatis, Jurickson, Profar, Manny Machado all game long. But once something happens like that, throwing things onto the field, it's just, we can't condone that. That's not something that I'm going to condone there, because it pauses play, it pauses momentum, it shifts it. Let's just say, guys, if something went on there and it was in Dodgers' favor and they start doing that and it pauses it, whole different conversation. Then it's even more of an embarrassing thing. It's just something that can't happen.
Rodrigo said us as fans had more fight than the players. Sad. Again, sure. But fight is not represented by the number of things you throw onto the field. That is not the sign of fight. Kudos to the fans. They stuck around. They were loud throughout. And the Dodgers just, again, I think, and I've said this before, I think this whole thing about fight and about want to and all that stuff is so skewed by, if you hit a home run, you're going to look excited. And then if we judge fight by excitement, it's always going to look like the team that scored more runs has more of a desire to win. So I think it's just a little bit of a back and forth. Again, last night, did the Dodgers want it way more and the Dodgers had way more fight, and tonight they didn't? Like, what could have changed? Did the Padres not want it last night, but they wanted it more tonight? I just think some of that stuff is so subjective, and it's like we're rewinding the tape and making our opinions based off of the results.
I was just going to say that a lot of that's results based and things like that. I think, process matters. Process definitely matters when it comes to taking good swings, seeing uncharacteristic things from an offense or a team that you're used to. A game like tonight, I would say they were fooled by what Yu Darvish was throwing out there. And because of just having such little opportunities trying to create them, it never happened. So it for sure looks like Yu Darvish got into a rhythm and just absolutely, when after that double play, he hummed. Like I said, I blinked and it was later in the game. Like there was nothing memorable about it. It was all Padres the entire night. They're going to have to answer back. They're going to have to answer back from this, because if they don't, then it got to them. It gets to them. It's unacceptable for them to be allowing these runs in the early innings. They're a team that, yes, they can weather the storm, but they did it last night. But having to come back from that mountain every single time, things have to click perfectly. The bullpen has to be locked down. Your starter has to be able to get enough, and if they get them out, everything else has to go perfectly for you to climb back in those games. So that's when morale can be down. It's just, Jeff, we're Dodger fans, buddy. We've seen this 2 years in a row. Last year was a flood. We're seeing people are getting flashbacks, and we're not like players. We see things, in succession as far as postseason time. So I understand where a lot of fans are like, this is happening again. It's just this early run stuff is just all we're hearing. It's booms in my mind.
And that's the hard part with Flaherty is the tendency from folks like me and you is to want to defend Flaherty. But you just said if they're having to climb a mountain every single time and the starting pitcher gives up 3 runs before he gets 6 outs, like how can we defend Flaherty then?
Yeah, it's correct. Yeah, it's correct. But asking what they're doing, I think it looks worse when it's early game and asking the offense to claw back in. If it's 5 innings and 3 earned runs, but he doesn't allow a gut punch right out of the gate, it's different. I think it's just different. That's a whole different story. It just really is. Having to claw back in, starting pitching's different. You get through the top of the order there. All those things have to work in tandem. Everything impacts the other. There's a line here. So I do think that just like we talked about, on our pregame show, our nightly shows leading up to this, those early runs are making a world of difference right now.
Jonathan said, Jeff and I defend Roberts as a clubhouse master. Here's his test with vibes in the toilet. Can he rally the troops? Do we come out swinging in game 3? I don't want to put all my eggs into the basket of because I don't even know what coming out swinging in game 3 looks like. Michael King's going to have a lot to say about whether or not the Dodgers are effective offensively early on. I suppose we could look at quality of at-bats and are they grinding through at-bats? Are they making good plays defensively? I don't know, but that said, I agree with this assessment with Jonathan. Like if I've said all along, Dave Roberts' superpower is clubhouse management, here you go. Like, here's the opportunity, Dave. And again, I don't know. I don't even know what success looks like other than it somehow will result in a win. But I suppose that's maybe, Scott, part of the reason why I'm not doom and gloom, because I don't think the guys are going to go into that clubhouse tonight feeling like they've lost already.
No, you can't. They're big leaguers. They understand that they have more games to play. Every single thing is every day is a new page with getting, postseason stuff. It's just, it matters more. Each game matters more. You're getting close. You see the end of it. But you have to play for the day. The series isn't over until it's over. It's just the chips are stacked more heavily in one favor. But now it's even straight down the middle. It's a brand new series. It's like 0-0. You're just going to play with San Diego. They matched you at home. Now you have to go there and either beat them 2 straight, or you got to do the same thing and match them. You got to catch them in one game there. It's a heavyweight fight, buddy. It's a heavyweight fight. This is a series that a lot of fans wanted to see. You want to see them answered, and Dodgers got answered straight back. They're playing a Padres team that is it's the underdog thing. You're looking at the athletic staff picking 80% Padres. I mean, they have a good reason to. They're a good club. Dodger fans want to see the Dodgers perform. You cannot have a collapse again. And then we get to the other conversations that we'll deal with later on, the ones that we know the chat likes to bleed into. But Michael King, if they turn to him game 3 there, that's a game you have to win, because Hilt is very aggressive. He's a very aggressive manager with his bullpen. You've got to get to Michael King. Jeff, can we ask the conversation with each other that is game 3 the must win? Like, you have to win it, and that's kind of it.
I don't think. I mean, I just hesitate. I feel like it's easy to jump to, oh my gosh, they have to respond to game 2 by winning game 3. Like 2020 NLCS, they lost game 1 and 2 and came back and won that series in 7. Like, it's not must win, because even if they lose game 3, do I think it's a 0% chance the Dodgers could win 2 straight against the Padres game 4? And
Martin Perez, good chance. You got Martin Perez, good chance. And game 5, anything happens. It's just,
and I think King's the guy. King is the starter I am most scared of. So, like, if they lose game 3, that guy's not walking back through the door in game 5, whether it's Cease. Now, it could be Darvish, and that would be terrifying after what we saw from him tonight. But my point is it super important? Yes, I would love to win game 3. I don't think I'm ready to get to a place and say it's must win, because if they lose game 3, I still think they could win the series.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you have to look matchups individually. That's my point of bringing that up, is fans are very doom and gloom tonight. Rightfully. You just saw a beatdown. My point for doing that is just to play devil's advocate, that with the emotions from a game like tonight, do people go into that saying, if you lose that, is it over? And that's the only reason I'm bringing it up there, because
you're not saying it's over if they lose game 3 either, right?
Absolutely not. Series, you got to play every game. You've got to absolutely play every game. Everything, the series isn't over until that's when it's over with. And I think if Martin Perez goes for them and one thing, then I heavily lean that in the Dodgers. It's just, you're playing a series where you have to be absolutely perfect. Because tonight the Padres played a very good ball game, and you got to see what happened when the Dodgers didn't provide themselves any opportunities.
And the Dodgers haven't played, I would say, like, they haven't put together. The bullpen was great in game 1. The offense was good in game 1. The offense could be better. The pitching could be better. The bullpen couldn't be any better than they were in game one. I'll say that. But my point is, I think we saw the Padres' best tonight. We haven't seen the Dodgers' best. That's the hope, at least. A couple more super chats here. I know we've got a bunch of these to get to, so thank you, everybody, for being patient with us. Thanks, ton of people, over 2,200 people in here live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We appreciate it. Carolina says, total Padres hits 13, Dodgers 5. Those 5 hits came from Teoscar, Muncy, Lux, and Edman. The top of the batting order, a big, fat donut. So, yes, Mookie Betts was not good tonight. Neither was Shohei Ohtani. Neither was Freddie Freeman when he was in there. I believe those 3 guys go 0 for 10. And look, if the offense is the key, those 3 guys are the key to the key. And so if those 3 go 0 for 10, you're not going to win a ton of baseball games if you're the Dodgers.
No, it's correct. Yeah. I mean, you have to have people at the bottom of the order there to make things happen. It's good to see Max Muncy, Teoscar. He's been great so far. Tommy Edman, it was good to see him kickstart some offense in game 1 there with that bunt. Tommy Edman too, right? Like I'm happy with what I'm getting from the bottom. I'd like to see some at-bats for Andy Paez here. I really would. I was on those guys on the outside, kind of looking in. Will Smith, I'm going to need to see some. But as far as setting up the top of the order, yes, exactly right, Jeff. Like they are keys to the key.
Yeah. I mean, look, Will Smith has no hits. I believe he has, 4 walks in this series in 2 games. So at least
he's taking great at-bats. Great at-bats. Yes, he's taking great at-bats. He's making pitchers work there. So he's turning that. He's handing it over. He's passing the baton.
John says, hunger is missing. We need leadership. No more 9-to-5 mentality. Machado showed that tonight. Yeah. I mean, look, again, Machado, like, I know what it looks like. I can just tell you historically, his numbers haven't been very good. He was good tonight. Defensively, I should say. His first hit didn't come until the 9th inning. I believe he was 0 for 4. So, the hunger, I guess he was hungry. The leadership was cool. Like, I don't like Manny Machado pulling the guys together, that kind of stuff. I respect that. I think that was cool. I mean, the game was already over at that point, so I don't put a ton of stock into it. But given the what was going on in the stadium and with the emotions of it, I thought that was a great move by Machado, a guy that I don't really like.
Yeah, right before that inning, rallies them together there, and they go out and hit a pair of homers. So definitely something where for whatever locked them in, it's something. So leadership matters, and I get John, thanks for that super chat, because this is one thing where you could argue, like, who are these guys? Like, who are the guys, those type of guys with the Dodgers? What type of moment warrants that type of thing? If they're not playing well throughout a thing, maybe. Is that something Mookie Betts does? We haven't seen him do that type of thing. I think reportedly since he came to the Dodgers, but it's been quite a long time. We're pretty far removed. I mean, that's a couple seasons now since 2020. Lots changed, lots happened, a lot of different faces in the organization now. At a point, it's like it's Mookie Betts' team, but now it's Shohei Ohtani's team, and he's he had a big homer game 1 there, doing his damnedest and getting pitched hard, against in game 2. So that type of moment happening for the Dodgers. If it's behind the scenes, it's behind the scenes. A lot of people saying no dogs on the team, but they showed a hell of a lot of dog in game 1. Yeah. It felt like battle back. And when tonight, just to Jeff's point, it's a lot of it's results based. The results didn't happen today, and it was a flood. Yeah. Yeah. Again, if there's a couple things go one way or the other, and I think, the words that we would use to describe the exact same players would be different. So tough to say. Grayson says the difference is simple. Dodgers players don't seem to feed off the home fans the way the Padres feed off their home fans. I mean, Grayson, we appreciate the super chat. Like a night ago, we were saying the exact opposite. We were talking about the vibes in Dodger Stadium and how electric it was, and how the team came back from down 3-0 and then back from down 5-3, and how they did it at home. Like, I understand the point. Also, we're calling the Padres like high energy, hungry, electric, etc. on the road. So I think we're playing the results a little bit too much here, is all I'm saying. I mean, I've seen a lot of Padre fans get angry at a lot of their players from game 1. Getting angry at, Solano, getting angry at Jurickson Profar. Like, and he comes out as 2 hits tonight. So it's on a nightly basis. Who are you going to be mad at? Jeff, it's an argument that we'll never win.
No, it's
something
true.
that we'll absolutely never win. It's the emotions-based stuff and knee-jerk reactions, instant reactions. But people are getting shell-shocked. That's where a lot of this is coming from, for sure.
Ozzy says, anything can happen. In 2019, we had all the momentum against the Nationals and fell apart. It's a game at a time. Just win the next game. Amen, Ozzy. Amen. It's 1-1. I joked on social media. I said, the good news here, if I need to remind you, is a 10-2 loss counts the same as a 7-5 loss. It's
Yes, it
1-1
does.
in the NLDS. There's an off day tomorrow. They head down to San Diego. The Padres need to beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but that's what's going to need to happen. Shelly, similar, thoughts here. Shake it off. 1 loss. Dodger fans need to be better. It was embarrassing. I agree. Throwing things at people. You said it perfectly, Scott. You want to boo a guy. You want to chirp at him. He chirps back. You chirp back. Good with all that, as long as we're not saying things crazy, inappropriate. But to start throwing stuff, that's where you cross the line. And Dodger fans, I would say mostly unfairly have a bad reputation. But on nights like tonight, I don't get to text my friends and say, no, Dodger fans aren't that bad. Because on national TV in the biggest spot, we had a few people that make all of us look bad. So I agree, Shelly. Dodger fans need to be better. Hopefully they will. And, we'll see. We'll see. Some more super chats here. Carlos, Flaherty, the only Dodger to stand on business. What do you think about Flaherty yapping at Machado, saying go sit the F down, and then yapping at him from the dugout in the top of the next inning?
I mean, I love it. I don't think any fan didn't like it. I understand a lot of people saying he wasn't great tonight, so why are you saying anything? But I would like him to not be sitting in the dugout, pouting it up there. If we feel like, shout out to the 2,300 here across all social media, Dodger Blue. We appreciate you guys a ton. But if we say that he did enough and we felt he did okay, I think the Dodgers feel he did enough. Pat on the fanny there, you keep him in the ball game where it's just a couple swings, couple things going your right way, and it's a different ball game. But with Manny Machado having as much, he's a very outwardly emotional player. Yeah. So it's good to see Manny Machado doing that. There's some history there with Flaherty, Schilt, like they've been together on the same team. So there's a lot brewing with Jack Flaherty and what they've got going on with the Padres. And I like the fact that at least people want dogs. You've got Jack Flaherty. He's a dog. Yeah. Like I like that. I like that he's doing it. It's showing that people want Mookie Betts to give a damn. Jack Flaherty cares. He's going to go out there and he's going to mouth off to players on the opposing side or be doing a little bit too much in their home ballpark. So yes, I appreciate that. Absolutely. Standing on business, Carlos. Yeah,
I'm with you. Look, he's probably pissed at himself because he didn't think he pitched as well as he could have or should have. But look, I joked. I said, if you want to help people forget the 5.14 earns, the quickest way to do that is to F-bomb Manny Machado a handful of different times. Because that's the fastest way into a Dodgers fan's heart, I think, is that. Ask Joe Kelly, who's still living off of the residuals of the pouty face back from Houston. So if Flaherty, this wasn't that, but the same point stands, I think. Pandemic, stop crying about Seager, win Tuesday, and stop dooming. We'll move along. Ivan says, giving a home run to Peralta in 2024 is a death sentence. Look, Peralta, there were some not nice things said about David Peralta's tenure as a Dodger, rightfully so. It hurts a little extra, doesn't it, Scott, to have him hit the home run tonight?
Yeah, they insert him into the starting lineup here, and he gets a backed up slider that sits right in the heart of the dish. I would say like thigh high and just takes it dead center. Yeah, that one sucked. That was one where it felt completely avoidable. Absolutely, a hitter like that, like David Peralta. Yes, he's a platoons guy, but yeah, that one hurt.
Ozzy says it'll probably help us hitting first at least. So that's a good news, Scott. It will be impossible for us in games 3 and 4 to be trailing by the time we come up to the plate. So good news for the Dodgers there.
That's basically telling me like what happened in last year when they went to Arizona. It was like, hey, they had those 3 at bats where they weren't losing right away. Yeah, same type of thing.
That ended up being exactly 3. Risen indeed. We said the same things in 2021, 22, and 23. Now in 24. Maybe. But guess what? It's the same thing. You're right until you're wrong on these things. And so, yes, we probably said the same things in 2020 at some point, and we were wrong. So somebody's going to be right. Somebody's going to be wrong. I'll wait till the series ends to make sort of to look back in hindsight and say what went wrong. Mr. Kirk said, I wanted 2 wins this October. Thoughts and prayers, please. They're halfway there, Mr. Kirk. They're halfway there. Jose. Hey, guys, not over till the last out is made. We knew it was going to be serious. Let's clean ourselves up and get it Tuesday. I do think there's something to this, Scott. I didn't hear anybody on our show predicting a sweep. So, we knew they were going to lose at some point. Tonight, they lost. Moving on. We knew it was going to be a tough series, whether it was going to be 4 games or 5. Here we are. Neither team's going to end this thing in less than 4 games. And 3 games, wild card series time, basically.
Yeah, no, short series. You got to cram it all in. Like it's you're going into getting in where all hands on deck, all hands on deck after an off day. Didn't have to use her high leverage guys tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not ready to do the silver lining stuff. We're not doing silver lining things, but day off for both of them, day off tonight for them, day off tomorrow for them. And then you get to go in all hands on deck.
Gherkins Games. How is Kike not the starting third baseman? Come on. Muncy was 2 for 4 and got a bomb there at the end. I know the bomb was meaningless, but 2 for 4. I mean, look, he will be the starting third baseman if Freddie Freeman can't go on Tuesday. We still haven't, I don't believe, gotten any updates on that front. I'll
big
go ahead
update.
and check. We did get one?
No, not yet, but it's going to be a big update once it happens. Yeah, Gherkins, like I talked about that. If Freddie Freeman wasn't able to go, then Kike's postseason reign of terror was going to be able to start out right out the gate there. Opportunities wise in the starting lineup, there's only so many spots to put him in. I for sure like to see it. He had put a good charge into one right when he was inserted into the game that looked like it could have and absolutely should have left, but just didn't fly out. I think as far as defensive purposes, yeah, I think he would get to some more balls that Max Muncy might not, but that's the difference of it. Max Muncy is going to be the starting guy, whether it's one of the corners. It all depends on, are we going to see Freddie Freeman or not? And that's kind of the update we'll be waiting on here.
Yeah, and I'm looking through some Dave Roberts quotes and that kind of a thing. I don't see any Freddie Freeman updates, so we'll have to wait. I think you're going to get a kick out of this quote because people love Mookie Betts post-game quotes, and we have a Mookie Betts post-game quote.
Is this going to be another one?
I mean, you tell me. Okay. On the quality of his at-bats, quote, "They're all outs, so they're all terrible. I don't really know what to say about it. I'm giving my best, doing my best, and obviously it's not good enough right now." You tell me, is that another quote that's just going to feed the fan the flames of the people that think Mookie Betts doesn't care and doesn't try hard enough?
That one's not that bad. And if he says like, oh, what's the next thing? He said like they drives nice cars too type stuff. As long as it's not something like that, like a chat GPT line, like, no, that one's fine. That we'll talk about it after the series. If he continues to do the same thing, I'll just put it out. It will be a narrative, like it will be an overwhelming narrative with Mookie Betts here. It already is something that people talk about. Yes. But if we do a full another series and they get bounced in the DS, then yes, it's something that is unavoidable. It'll have to be answer, or yes, there will be a thing. Oh my God, JD just put in the thing. They drive nice cars too, or they get paid to play baseball too. Stuff that people don't want to hear. Now that's like trigger stuff.
I'm in the minority on that. I don't hate those quotes as much as everybody else does. Here's some more interesting stuff coming. Jack Flaherty said that Machado threw a ball at the Dodgers dugout in between innings, and that was, quote, the tail end of that.
Okay.
I've seen some people say none of it was caught on video of him throwing the ball, but that's what Flaherty says, is that Machado threw a ball over to the dugout. Obviously, third base dugout. He's right there.
If that's the case, I mean, it'll be on camera somewhere. There are enough cameras. Yeah. Some of it'll get caught. If it gets out, we don't know. Like, I'm sure there will be people that'll do detective work to try to find that. And if he did that, I mean, absolutely chirp on him. Whole dugout should be absolutely, like, if there's something there, like, these players chat, like they talk. Like, if that's something that he did, he like launched the ball into the dugout for what? Like, what are you doing that for? Can't. Dodger players aren't controlling the fans. They're doing that stuff on their own. If Machado's doing that out of frustration, absolutely. Have a damn issue with what Manny Machado did tonight then. If that's the case, we don't know, though.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Look, I loved it from Flaherty because he took care of Machado, struck him out, told him to sit the F down, and then kept chirping afterwards in the next inning. Again, all that I'm good with. Like, the talk, I don't think that fired up Manny Machado in a way that, like, oh, that's why the Dodgers ended up losing. But, we'll see. Interesting. Again, the quote, if you missed it, is that Jack Flaherty said Manny Machado threw a ball at the Dodgers dugout between innings, and that was, quote, the tail end of that interaction that he had with Manny Machado. A couple more super chats here. Jeffrey says, if Freddie can't go, do we change the order? Mookie, Ohtani, then Teo, right, left, right, while Mookie had his preferred leadoff? Just a thought. I don't think there's any chance Shohei Ohtani's not batting leadoff. Who would you place in that 3 spot? Is it moving Teoscar up, or do you move a guy like, I don't know. Who is it? Max Muncy maybe that gets moved into that spot to keep the lefty, righty, lefty stuff going there? What would you do?
Man, how would you feel with Gavin Lux batting third in a playoff game, Jeff?
There's no chance, dude. They would get murdered. I mean, look, Gavin Lux has the most hits. I say that. It's true. It's also a joke as I say it out loud. There's no chance you can go to Gavin Lux there.
Chat's overwhelmingly, I mean, not overwhelmingly. Some people early saying Lux there. I think it's between either Mookie Betts, or not Mookie Betts, sorry.
I need to reevaluate my life. If I'm no longer the highest person on Gavin Lux in a room, I'm like looking around and saying, what room did I just walk into where other people are more confident in Lux than I am?
Yeah, the ghost talking about that. I mean, it's either between Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy to keep that going there. Max Muncy in the 3-hole, something I can get behind in terms of like postseason stuff. He's been there before. He's done it. Like he looks comfortable in the box. Will Smith, I could see getting pushed back up there. Absolutely. Just to eliminate, because he's not swinging and missing as much. Keep that right behind Mookie Betts. I would say if they're
the argument for Muncy again is left, right, left at the top, and then back to right.
That's the route. If they want to keep that going, which is something that they had done when lefties were in the game, like they broke them up, like they broke Freddie Freeman up, and they wanted that to be a thing. So I would say it's possible. Like that's something if they value it enough to get Max Muncy up there to get him some more at bats. But yeah, if we see Gavin Lux there, then. Oof.
Yeah, here we go. Grayson says Shohei, Teo, Lux, Mookie, new order, because why not? You want to shake stuff up? All the Mookie.
We're not there yet.
Do we need to move him out of the 2-hole? If he's 0 for 22, do we swap him and Gavin Lux in the order? What are we doing here?
Yeah, we're so not there yet. We're not at that point. There was a series though, like in recent memory I can think of where Dave Roberts just sent a lineup out there. I'll have to pull it up. There was something. I don't remember which one, but I'm gonna do some sleuthing tonight and figure it out. Like which one where Dave Roberts just said grab hat. It won't be game 3 though. Not a chance. Like guys, we're one day removed. I'll entertain the panic. Absolutely. I always do. I love it. But we're one game removed from them having an absolute a terrific ball game. DM, like we keep an eye on chat as much as we can. Like we'll time people out as we see like necessary. If people are spamming stuff, absolutely. Hate stuff, absolutely. Like we have a zero tolerance for that thing. So yeah, we're keeping. I
got rid of the Padres fan that hopped in here. So we're doing.
If Padres fans are in here, and you guys like keeping it respectful, like yeah, we'll Padres fans are cool being in here. Just keep it respectful, guys. That's all we ask.
Yeah. Let's see. Here we go. Carolina says, is Pryor part of the problem with our pitching?
No, I would say because at different points, like the Jack Flaherty hasn't been good for a bit. Yamamoto hasn't been stellar for a bit. I think it's just the trends. How does the starting pitcher, how are the starting pitchers such a problem? And then the bullpen is absolutely stellar.
Yeah.
Like it just depends on whose responsibilities are there. But at a certain time, guys, like how much you putting on the coaching staff, how much you putting on the players to perform. At a certain point, the game calling. Will Smith calls games. Like at a certain point, stuff matters. You can't. Why is Dave Roberts or Mark Pryor a problem for backing up a slider to David Peralta? Yeah. Absolutely not. That's not his thing.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. No, and I think these are the tricky things with managers in baseball where you want to assign them some credit and some blame, but it's really hard to figure out where they deserve anything. Like really bad managers win the World Series sometimes. And so winning a World Series doesn't make you a good manager. Losing in the World Series doesn't make you a bad manager. I mean, again, the Padres manager, when he intentionally walked Mookie Betts yesterday, was one of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen somebody make in a postseason game. And you know what happened today? His team won 10-2. Like, I don't think he became a way better manager today. If anything, it was Machado that circled everybody up. It wasn't the manager that circled everybody up. And so I think the Dodgers pitching, if there's a list of things that are problematic, Mark Pryor's not in the top 3 to 5. He might be on the list. I think health, I think injuries, because even these two guys, Yamamoto and Flaherty, we had Vassay on our show a few days ago, and he's like, hey, look, remember when like other teams didn't want to trade for Jack Flaherty because he had a back issue at the deadline and now his velocity is going down? Like, I just think there's a lot of moving pieces with these guys. And I think it's a fair question, Carolina, and we appreciate the super chat, but it wouldn't be tops on my list as far as that. Priscilla with the super chat, ban Mookie from podcasting, bowling, and pickleball. You a pickleball guy, Scott?
I am not a pickleball guy.
See me bowl though, right? Big see me bowl guy.
Oh my gosh. I mean, guys, I can't act like and say I haven't received a flurry of text messages saying Mookie Betts is in your area, Scott. Like I have heard it. I don't tweet it out when it happens, but Mookie Betts, I think it's on some Thursday nights when the Dodgers don't play. Guess where Mookie is? I'm not going to tell you where, but I know where Mookie Betts bowls sometimes.
Hey, everybody's got their thing.
Yes, they
Saki
do.
Bomb. I've been on the train for a while about moving on from Roberts. Seeing games like this from our high-powered offense just makes me defend him. That's interesting because I think a lot of people respond to a game like this and are pissed at Dave. What do you think about somebody who's saying, look, I want to blame this on Dave, but when the offense goes 5 for a million and the top 3 spots go 0 for 12, I can't really blame Dave Roberts. What do you think?
How much we putting on Dave Roberts from today?
A
Like
lot.
how much? Like
How much? Not by me, but a lot of people put a lot.
It's just like, my brother, same type of thing. He looks up at the score and sees pitchers giving up, homers, the offense doing nothing. Dave Roberts, same stuff. How much you putting on him? Last night, Dave Roberts had an amazing game. That's just how it goes, guys. Like, that's just how it is. You're going to push all the right buttons. The next time the offense does nothing. Your superstars do 0. Your pitchers give up runs. Then you have to climb them out, and it doesn't happen. I understand the weight and the gravity of a head coach in Major League Baseball and a manager where the expectations all fall on them. We said before the series started, I mean, firing Dave Roberts would be a big thing to do just because he's in a difficult position where he's managing a roster with superstars, expectations that he's even said are just astronomical year after year. Yeah. But if you don't answer the bell, we said that it's going to be, if they lose, it's a matter of how they lose. Yeah. If it's a flood after tonight and they lose the next 3 games, or the next 2 games in terrible fashion, like if tonight's the tipping point and then it doesn't get any better, then there's a conversation. That's when I think about it. But, Jeff, how much are we putting on Dave Roberts from players not performing all the time? Is it Dave Roberts' fault? Mookie Betts is going 0 for 4 again to start this?
Yeah.
No. Is it Dave Roberts' fault? Freddie Freeman rolled his ankle? No. Yeah.
Look, we can't. Mookie going 0 for 22 and Dave Roberts being to blame. Like, it feels to me like you got to pick one of those 2 things, unless it's Dave Roberts' fault that Mookie Betts is 0 for 22, and then we get everybody blamed. We could do that. We could do that as well. I'm with you. I think it's just hard, and that's why, like I've said, if they lose in the NLDS and Dave Roberts gets fired, I'm not going to agree with the decision, but I'm also like, I don't know what else I could possibly say to continue to defend as well, because to your point, like, I don't think if they win the World Series this year, I'm not going to think more highly of Dave Roberts than I did a week ago. I just think being a manager in baseball is really, really hard. And to your point, when Flaherty backs up a slider to David Peralta, and that's the biggest moment of this entire game, and Dave Roberts has literally nothing to do with it, it's hard for me to get.
They lost 10-2. They lost. Yeah, that was it. That was at the root of it. That was it.
Yeah,
and I see people saying
but at the flip side, I would say game 1, Dave Roberts deserves a lot of credit because I thought he pulled every string perfectly when it came to when guys came in, which guys came in, how aggressively he managed it. And so we're sitting here 1-1, but I feel like this has been a net positive series for Dave Roberts, not a net negative series.
It's just that we look back and then we can have a conversation, Jeff, where it's like, we know they're going to be great during the regular season. They're going to find it out. It's just how it is how much of Dave Roberts can get credit for that type of stuff. Is it talent-based? That's the conversation they'll have. But I'm sure the Dodgers always evaluate, if they move on from Dave Roberts, is the name they bring in, next going to do a better job of managing a clubhouse like that with someone at Dave Roberts who has done it for year after year. And just like TQT said, we talked about it last year, Jeff, like maybe is it just the fact of having a different voice in there? Is that going to get them over the hurdle of it? Who knows? But they have to feel confidently that the next person they bring in can do something else and take that next step. Get them there. So it's a tough conversation to have. It's tougher than you guys think. And I know it's so easy to just say, get them out of there because we see lesser teams do it. But a prominent franchise like the Dodgers, getting rid of a manager who consistently keeps them in the postseason conversation year after year, it's a bigger thing than people think.
Diamondbacks manager takes a unsung hero team all the way to the World Series. Guess what they did this year? They lost 5 of their last 7 games, including blowing an 8-0 lead, and didn't even make a postseason where basically 50% of the league makes the postseason. So it's a bizarre world that baseball players live in. John says Profar will be on Mookie's podcast tomorrow. I hope not. Like, if that episode ever got recorded, Scott, it needs to be burned and deleted. Sorry, Jerickson. I don't know what to tell you, man. The tapes got lost. There was one of the microphones wasn't turned on. We'll have to do it another time. I saw
a good one. I saw a good one that I got to pull up. It was just like tomorrow. I was on Twitter. Somebody said that we're going to hear Machado's side of the story on Mookie Betts' podcast tomorrow. Oh, man. Don't.
Brutal.
See, the chat, this is where you guys are electric. We appreciate you. This is.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. Luis, Padres in 4 with Mookie going hitless is my prediction. I would love to be proven wrong with some miracle. I've still got Dodgers in 5. What was your prediction before the series, Scott?
I said Dodgers in 4.
Okay. You want to stick with that? Dodgers win game 3 and game 4?
I'll stick with it. I'll stick with it. I've stuck on some of my predictions this year, like Teoscar Hernandez. I said he was going to be like the X factor of the offense this year outside of the main. So I'm just going to stick with it just because, yes, I don't want to move my own goalposts.
I like that. He's a man of principles. He's sticking with it. I mean, look, again, if you picked they were going to win in 4, you were predicting them to lose at some point. There's no reason to necessarily change your prediction just because it happened in game 2 and not game 3 or something like that. So
are they built for it? That's what we'll find out, Jeff. Are they built for it?
Yeah, we'll see. Going back again, looking through the box score on this one, 0 for 4 from Shohei Ohtani, 0 for 4 from Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman 0 for 2 before leaving early, Kike Hernandez 0 for 2, and then the bottom of the lineup came to play. Teoscar 1 for 3, Muncy 2 for 4 with the home run, Will Smith 0 for 2 but walked twice, Gavin Lux 1 for 3, Tommy Edman 1 for 3, and then Miguel Rojas 0 for 3. So on the pitching side, Jack Flaherty 5 1/3, 5 hits, 4 earned, 2 strikeouts. Bonda comes in, gives up a hit that scores the 4th run against Flaherty, but otherwise no damage done. Daniel Hudson, 5 pitches, 2 outs. Ryan Brazier gives up a home run. Michael Grove gives up a home run. Edgardo Enriquez gave up 2 home runs, maybe 1 or 2 home runs from Edgardo Enriquez. And the Dodgers bullpen that was great last night. We didn't see any of the top guys, and they pitched like it. Couple more super chats coming in. Anna says, the pitching needs organizational overhaul. What will it take for that to happen? This is a conversation we've had where it's an off-season thing. I think the Dodgers have said that they're going to go back into the lab and basically, that's my language, but figure out. I think I've been pretty clear that my belief is they've said we're going to take chances on guys. This isn't rocket science. It's not unique to me, but I think it's pretty clear that they're willing to take high risk, high upside arms and collect a bunch of those and then basically bet on, well, if we take 5 of them, hopefully 2 or 3 of them will be healthy. This year, they pretty much went 0 for 5 in that category. So do they completely change that? Do they mix and match? And maybe it's, okay, let's get a couple high floor guys and a couple high ceiling guys. We'll see. But the fact that we're sitting here and, I can't remember what the number is off the top of my head. It's like 9 of the top 13 guys that they could have had pitching are all hurt. And the 4 that are left are like, I would say Yamamoto is probably the number 2 pitcher in the organization. Maybe you can make a case Jack Flaherty's number 3, but after that, I don't think any of the rest of the guys are in the top like 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. So that's the reality of where they're at. Is that an organizational thing? Is it bad luck? These are the questions we're going to be talking a lot about here in the next month or 2.
Yeah, no, Anna, thank you for that one. Absolutely. Just what Jeff said, they're going to look at it, but I've had the conversation, with a couple other people very, involved in what we do here. They look into a lot of minor league pitching and stuff like that at the major league level. The results we're going to see, like if they change up their philosophy through their minor league system, it's stuff with the results we might not see for a few years because not all arms are ready to break immediately. Not everybody's at that tipping point where, yes, the elbow goes, the shoulder goes, stuff like that. If they go into a new philosophy, sure, it might irritate things and go from there. So some results we might not see for a few years. But in the immediate, the Dodgers have consistently done this. They take guys that are Tommy John guys. They have a pitching philosophy where, yes, they like to be ahead of the curve on some things here. You have some great interviews, Jeff, with Lance. He does great work there. The Dodgers do things differently. The Dodgers are at the front of Major League Baseball and sometimes finding an edge, finding the next new thing. And perhaps they're seeing, they're seeing an issue right now with availability. And I've said the best ability is availability. And that's just what it is. You don't know what they're doing unless they're on the field. But for some reason, the philosophy the Dodgers have right now, it's all coming to a head, right?
Yeah.
This very moment, it's just a disaster class of moments.
And I think it's a great point. On one hand, I think from free agency, we might get a sense of if there is a different approach, the guys that they go after, there could be a shift. Flaherty is the guy right in front of us, but Flaherty is a very different profile pitcher than Tyler Glasnow as far as durability goes, as far as upside goes versus floor. But I think you make a great point with, if you're looking at the River Ryans and the Bobby Millers and the Gavin Stones of the world and saying, well, 2 of those 3 guys have arm injuries, Sheehan, Frasso, like they've already drafted the guys who were sitting there in single A and double A, and they drafted them for the same reason they went out and got Sheehan and Frasso, and they've trained them the same way. So we're not going to see a big shift within the organization, guys coming up over the next few years. But I do think free agency wise, there could be a different profile of guy that the Dodgers go after if they go after anybody in free agency from a pitching side, because they do have a lot of dudes already on that side of things. Mr. Kirk says, can you imagine Kobe on Kevin Garnett's podcast during the playoffs? What is this worldly comment what has this world come to? I think is what that last part's meant to say. No, the short answer is Kobe would not have been on Kevin Garnett's podcast. I freaking hated Kevin Garnett. I think like if I gave you my 5 least favorite professional athletes ever, Pierce and Garnett are like might be 1 and 2. A lot of Astros, you know what? I say that now, having to redo the list. There's probably some Astros that are higher on that list. There might be a couple Padres that crack the top 5 as well. But man, Pierce and Garnett on that Celtics team were all-time villains. Nomo FOMO, do you think game 3 should be a bullpen game? We have to halt the momentum. Our bullpen is better than our starters. What do you think? Should they go sort of Landon Knack / bullpen game in game 3 and save Buehler for 4?
Could be both bullpen games, Jeff. Like it could be both where they'll have to be heavily involved. My only pause with that is I think that if you exert the bullpen on their own in one game, it could be Landon Knack. That's a bulk guy, and then you turn it over. That's how they could see it. But if you go full bullpen and then say Walker Buehler gets into trouble in game 4, then you've got a whole problem here. Who'd you save from game 3? There could be some options there. So it's a good point. Like we've tossed it around. I think Blake was kind of on that. And chat, you played a big part in this in one of our shows leading up to the playoffs, that a bullpen game wouldn't be the best or the worst thing in the world if they're performing up to what it was. And they've done it. They did it in game 1. They looked terrific then. So I would say that absolutely. Like if it's something that they can find a way to save, a few leverage arms there, someone that you can stretch out to say 2 innings, inning and 2/3, stuff like that, it's worth the conversation. But I think the opener, the thing is a bigger conversation we should be having. I really do think that's some way to chip away, get that first, turn of at bats away from, Arias, Fernando Tatis Jr., Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado. So having to shorten the load on the starting pitcher or the bulk guy, if we're going to call Walker Buehler, that Landon Knack, that's something that I think the Dodgers are currently talking about.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, let's close on this note, Scott. It's 1-1. This series is not over. We've already given our predictions. You're sticking with Dodgers in 4. I'm sticking with Dodgers in 5. What's the biggest thing that you're hoping to see? Obviously, we're not going to see anything in the next 24 to 36 hours, but when game 3 starts, it's in San Diego, Dodgers are batting first. What's kind of the key thing that you're going to be keeping an eye on? Is it a bat quality? Is it the aggressiveness? Is it something on the pitching side? Like what's the one thing that's going to be top of mind as game 3 starts?
Make Michael King work. And if there is the moment early in the game where you can have a big swing or something to tip the balance, you have to do it then. It has to be early. You need to take every opportunity you can get. When he was in Dodger Stadium on September 24th, I just had it pulled up here. On September 24th, you need to get him early. You need to make sure that you do not miss your opportunity, because that will be the momentum swings in San Diego. I know every app, like home field advantage isn't the biggest thing, but getting those crowds in it, I need to see the Dodgers be on Michael King when that opportunity, if it happens early on, do not miss it. And yes, Mookie Betts is going to have to play a big part of it. The game's found Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts a ton in this last month. It's going to find them again. They have to be able to come up.
Yeah. Look, you can imagine if Mookie Betts is able to get a hit in that first inning in the top of the first, that feels like it would go a long way. I don't know how real that would be like for him, for the team, but I think in fans' minds, it would probably be a sigh of relief and sort of just a little jolt of, all right, hey, we've got a different person, a different team now than we had. Gabriel wants to know, how confident are you in Walker Buehler? Matt said he thought Buehler was going to give them the best start of any Dodgers starter in the NLDS. I picked Walker Buehler as my X factor. Do you share any optimism with Walker Buehler, such as the optimism that the copium that Moreno and I are consuming when it comes to Walker Buehler?
Jeff, you and I have shared a unique experience with Walker Buehler this year because we talked about, his fastball early on. I initially was talking about that. My biggest thing was him is realizing who he currently is. And we've got to see this maturation from someone, and he's 30 years old. We're talking about a guy that's, coming back from major injuries here. The optimism that I have to repeat a performance like he had against San Diego, where he goes 5, he allows 1 earned run, but he only got 1 strikeout. In a postseason appearance where it feels like missing bats, something that you have to be doing. But you got to see Yu Darvish is a different case. But in a night where Yu Darvish doesn't have as many strikeouts, he just gets a ton of bad contact. If Walker Buehler is able to do it, and I see Mike put it up right away, you've got to get ground balls. You have to keep the ball out of the air. You cannot go up there saying, San Diego is going to be able to elevate. I need to see Walker Buehler keep the ball on the ground. Mix and match, work on the hands, jam them inside, make Tatis have to extend outer half, get that cutter working. If that cutter's cooking against righties, Jeff, we're having a great conversation here where he gave us some length. Mike, where have you been, bro? Like, you've been dialed in on this. And Walker Buehler, pitch to some contact here, because don't try to be perfect. Stop trying to find strikeout stuff, Walker. Your fastball is not there anymore. Let's get the contact, replicate that. Worry about just getting outs, counting those outs here. And that's who somebody I think, let's see. So Gabriel, confidence-wise, I'm going to say like a 6, because if he's able to build that off on that and you're able to just find those contact outs, that's when we could see it. But there's somebody who's going to hit Walker Buehler, I would say, for 1 or 2 solo shots. You just have to limit damage in those big bunches. Is that good? Was that enough for me? Were you okay with that? I think I was pretty fair to him right there. I think that was pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's totally reasonable. And I think, like Yu Darvish, you said it, like, he didn't get a ton of swing and miss. He only had 3 strikeouts. Walker Buehler is not Yu Darvish, but I'm just saying there is a roadmap for limiting hard contact, mixing and matching, keeping guys off balance. And the one thing we know with Walker Buehler is if he fails, it will not be because the moment is too big for him. And that's not the same thing you would be able to say. We didn't know how Yamamoto was going to respond to being in this spot. We don't know how Landon Knack's going to respond. We didn't know how Michael Kopech was going to respond. We know how Buehler's going to respond. Physically, can he get there? Can he match the emotion of the moment? That's the real question. Luke with the super chat. If we win game 3, it's a series. In 2022, we won the first game, then lost 3 straight. Buehler needs to pitch and get us a win. The Padre fans at Petco will be throwing stuff at outfielders almost guaranteed. We'll see. What do you think, Scott? You think we get some angry Padres fans tossing stuff at Mookie Betts in right field?
I don't think so. I don't think I've seen that. And since San Diego, the Padres fans, we got a lot of you in chat trolling right now. So, I mean, let us know. Have you ever seen that before? And be honest, let us know. I haven't seen that. I don't watch enough Padre games to know. But they will be loud. They'll be for sure loud. Yeah, you're on. If you've been to Petco, Jeff, you've been to Petco?
Yeah, a long time ago. Not since the Padres have been good.
Right. You are right on top of everything for sure.
Yeah.
It's a very on top of you type of stadium. So they'll be loud. Got to answer the bell.
Yeah. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Folks, we appreciate you joining us here. Again, a tough one for the Dodgers. John, by the way, thank you for this week's Dodger therapy session. You're welcome. Our pleasure. Thanks for joining us, John. If you're new around here, please subscribe, ring the notification bell. Almost 2,700 people across Facebook, across YouTube, and Twitter. We appreciate all of you. Again, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Tons of content coming at you. We have got interviews up, post-game interviews, Flaherty, Muncy, Lux, Dave, Teoscar videos all up. By the way, this is news to me. For our Japanese friends, we've got Japanese interviews when guys like Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani speak. Those videos are also going up on our YouTube page, so you can check that out as well. Stay tuned for our schedule the rest of the week. There's been a change in some of the media access. Matt will be down in San Diego at these games, so we're going to have content for you. I just don't know when and where and who's going to be on it, but stay tuned here. That is Scott Geirman. I am Jeff Spiegel. The season is not over. The series is not over. It is 1-1. We officially have ourselves a 3-game NLDS series between the Dodgers and the Padres. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. And as always, go Dodgers.